growing culture, they have hundreds of new openings in sales, marketing, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Full-time roles offer a 4.5-day work week, along with flexible internships in most areas. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Find your fit today at www.sandhills.jobs.
Your child was embarrassed when you arrived at their basketball game. 75% of parents or guardians report current alcohol use. Drinking alcohol can cause harm to children and loved ones. By drinking less, your child will be excited to see you at their basketball game. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
The captain, Vershawn Jackson.
Let's just talk, because I like these projections. Left defensive end, Ty Robinson. Behind him, Chief Borders. Nose tackle, Hutch Monster, and then Van Poppel. Right defensive end, Jamari Butler, and then Cameron Linhart.
Yeah, you got to have them on the field at the same time. I mean, that's a train wreck right there. I mean, in the making it. Both of them in the near future is going to demand double teams, so you might as well get them ready for it now. And that's just the best thing for this team right now. They have both of those up-and-coming stars on the field at the same time.
Live from the 93.7 The Ticket studios in the heart of Lincoln, America, this is Inside the Huddle with Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Fires a pass, and it's intercepted by the Huskers at the 25, Jay Foreman. And Foreman takes it down to the 19-yard line of Oklahoma. Another big play by the Black Shirts.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Sponsored by Advanced Medical Imaging.
What up? This is Jay Foreman, Inside the Huddle, brought to you by Advanced Medical Imaging, 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. We'll handle all your MRI needs and then also put together a detailed and clear game plan for you to either rehab or move into some surgical options. But it is a Sunday, February 25th. It is a beautiful day, or will be a beautiful day here in Lincoln, 1040 O Street. Home of the Ticket. We call it the Mecca of Sports Radio in Lincoln, actually in the whole state of Nebraska. So we're going to get braggadocious today, Harrison. Before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to my brother-in-law, David Doris. It's his birthday today. It's my sister's husband. He's up in Omaha. Works for the Postal Service. Good dude, man. I mean, I love David, man. He's a very calming dude. Was a great dad, and obviously a great husband to my sister. So it's his birthday today. I want to give him a shout out, man, because I know he works some hard, long hours.
Postal Service isn't a joke.
No,
that's a grind.
And my man is not fond of dogs.
That's a 1-2 right there.
But you know what? David's in shape, so he said he's got the right stuff that he packs with him that dogs can't mess him up too much. But we're inside the huddle, man. We're in a little bit of a I wouldn't say a weird time, but it's kind of like the off season before the off season. If you think of pro football, Super Bowl's over, free agency's about to start. You got NFL Combine. Now we're full fledged into college season. Wait and see, especially here in Nebraska, with winter conditioning, and they're doing, I guess, what they call mat drills right now. And so this is, people always wonder what they're doing right now. They should be doing anything and everything. Now, obviously, they have a great, nutrition staff, weight staff, game plan for each player. I think that's a little bit unique what Matt Rule did when he first came in, like with Jalen Lloyd. I just saw that he did really well in indoor track. And I think another receiver too, where they're participating in track, you got Nash, he's doing wrestling.
Yep.
And so the one thing I think is a good selling point that Matt Rule and staff did was they recruited players. They like a lot of guys with speed, especially out there in the wide receiver room and defensive back room as well. Just say skill position. They want them all to be, pretty fast, which is normal in this day and age. But the ones that, have the track background, they didn't take that away from them. And, that's commendable, but then also is very smart. And you don't want to ever have an athlete wondering what if, but I also think that these athletes that are good enough to run track in college, they gain a lot from it. And here's a quick story. When the Miami Hurricanes had Andre Johnson, Clinton Portis, even Najee Davenport, and two other players, that was their track team. One of the best teams of all time That was their track team at the University of Miami. So you think they got some people down there that can run. So what it does is you have to be individually motivated. You got to be very detailed in your work. And then obviously you got to be able to transition to football very well. And obviously you saw Jalen Lloyd play well as the season went on. So people always ask me, Harrison, what goes on in winter conditioning? And it's a little different than what, than we would. But first of all, winter conditioning doesn't start the day that it officially starts. It starts 2 or 3 weeks prior. You want to come into winter conditioning, not cold turkey, right? And it's a plethora of things that you do, right? You want to kind of, you want to work hard as a team where you get broke down. You're getting broke down individually, right? Because that's what you got to break your body down to build yourself back up. That's what happens during the season. You're trying to build some camaraderie. You're trying to set your culture. You're trying to see whose character is in the right place. You're seeing who came into, I guess I call it a full free job interview ready. That means, did you sit on your butt since last November or end of November, say Thanksgiving, and not do anything and showed up behind? Who's made some initial improvements? It's a way to get together as far as like every position, whether you're watching tape, obviously wide receivers, running backs, tight ends, and quarterbacks throwing, getting some timing down, learning a new offense, or not learning a new offense, but learning, I guess, a new offense in the sense of Marcus Satterfield now is the offensive coordinator, tight end coach. And then you bring in Glenn Thomas as the quarterback coach. So getting familiar with the new coaches that you have, even though Marcus Satterfield's been here, he's a different coach because he's doing different things, primarily coaching tight ends. The tight end coach now goes back to his original role. So getting used to that, getting better on defense, getting more familiar with the 3-3-5 and what Tony White expects. But the work, I remember, look, you'll have anywhere from Marines come in and Navy SEALs and do all that stuff. We weren't able to do it. We had our own.
Well, you get Bill Belichick this year.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm talking about winter conditioning. They would come in and you go through kind of team building things and learn how to work hard and be accountable to your teammates so you can trust each other. Now that was probably not something that we were able to do just because I don't think it was probably as popular, or I wouldn't say that, people didn't see the benefit of it, but I just think it was just something that, we felt like, well, we had Boyd Epley and that staff that, knew exactly what they wanted to do. And we had our own kind of military type of thing that we had, trust me. Funny thing is, Harrison, I watched that 30 for 30 thing on the Florida Gators and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you watch that? Yeah. The funny thing about it, I mean, everybody works hard.
Yeah.
That was child's play to what we were doing.
That's telling for anyone who went and watched that.
It was like the one-on-one competitions that was child's play.
I can believe it when you see certain guys out there. I'll shout out Terrell Farley.
Yeah,
you see the aggression and anger. If you look at some of their highlights,
yeah,
you can see it.
It was child's play.
There's some serious mean aggression, especially with those black shirts back then. Even on the offense, the wide receivers. They were ready to block. I know it was part of the whole thing where you understood that coming to Nebraska, but they were nasty on the edge.
Oh no, blocking. It was no. I mean, Ron Brown had those. I mean, it was competition. I mean, you think from, like Abdul Muhammad, he probably was maybe 170. I don't even know how much he weighed. He was small. Brendan Holbein, John Vedral was. These guys were knocking cats out. Okay. And then it wasn't just something they did on Saturdays. It was just what we did every single day, whether we had pads on or not. But the competition that we had where, it was competition internally inside the, my room, the linebacker room, defensive end room, everything was a competitive nature. And then we continued to do it if we, were playing intramural basketball. There was no days off, but then also we have fun though too. And so hopefully and ideally that's what they're doing now. And there's nothing wrong with competition. And, sometimes young kids, they'll ask me like, how do you separate I guess in my case, the Jay Foreman that's walking around every single day, say in their case, they're going to class and all this other stuff versus the person that you're on the field. And I think it's very easy because actually it helps you become a better player because and I always say this, walking around, do you think this dude's going to get hit? He's talking to himself.
He's walking around. He ain't doing well.
Yeah, he's talking to himself. Well, sometimes, Harrison, I always say this. Sometimes the best conversation I've ever had was with myself. But anyways, I think walking around, human nature is not built to be that aggressive. You get what I'm saying? Like, you're not walking down the street and headbutting this young lady. You know what I mean?
You say leave it between the lines for a reason. Like, you need to be a different person.
You're getting up. I mean, there's nothing that's going to make you in that where you have to get into a controlled rage going to accounting 201. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, unless you get a bad grade, right? or somebody don't help you on the test or something. So that's just not in your natural, that's not the way the human body works or humans work. And so when you get into a competitive nature, if it's something that you really want, then you start to really think about what you sacrifice for it, what you're willing to sacrifice for it, how you want to get it, and what means will you go to it, and then will you reset and continue to go farther. And to do that, you have to be a different person. And you have to get there and you have to know how to get there and willing to get there, and you can't really worry about what happens during that time. And one, it's like a fight or flight.
Yep.
Because you got to expect the best out of your opponent and from a competitive nature. And so, we had this thing called the pit down there, and it was this old turf, offense and defense, and be down there. And sometimes they bring the linebackers down there because we'd be doing some what we call take-ons, but one-on-one blocks, getting competitive. No AC, one thing of water, and nowhere to hide. They would shut the door. No cameras, no nothing.
Yeah, and you're not that nice AC Hawk Center.
No. And it's underneath. Right, no heat, no circulation. And there would be, some scraps in there. And I always looked at it like this, man. We'd fight each other. It never went in the locker room. But I only want to be able to fight like Vershawn. If somebody else came after him, then I got to go at, like in a game.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's why it's good to kind of have that, because if you can't take it within your own teammates, what are you going to do in Wisconsin trying to get under your skin? I mean, we've heard plenty of stories. Those teams, they're not going to be friendly. They're going to say things to try to get under your skin. And are you going to get away from the game plan?
You're going to test.
You're going to lock in.
You need to be tested. And, really, Harrison, before, this first segment, we're going to talk about word of condition. Then we'll get into, obviously, men's and women's basketball. Big shout out to women's basketball. I handled their business yesterday. But, for me, I was a redshirt freshman, and, I went in the spring, what they are. I was number 7 on the depth chart. I got 7 plays in a week, in the first week. 7. You hear me? And that was after 2 seniors left. So I ain't get there. Hey, I was like, hey, I remember calling my dad and said, listen, man, I got 7 plays. He was like, in a practice? I said, no, all week. It was on a Sunday. I said, man, I better get some plays, man. Or else I'm about to be back. I'm about to go. I mean, they let me know where they, I guess, initially thought I was at.
Well, let me ask you this real quick before you tell the rest of the story. If you were moved your era to today, you think you would have transferred out? Because back then it was you that wasn't really there for you.
Yeah.
Today, and that's the problem with most athletes, I think.
Not initially, not like that. I mean, it was just they had good players. They had scholarship players, guys that played some, and guys that had been in the program a little bit more. And some guys, sometimes, Harrison, when they had such a gap when Troy Dumas and Clint Brown left, 2 seniors, they'll move guys there. And then, we brought in the number 1 linebacker recruit. So, it was just kind of circumstances. And I remember talking to my dad on a Sunday, man, and I was like, I used to stay over in Abel Durham. I was like, man, this stuff is for the birds, man. I was like, I was getting my butt kicked all year on scout team, kind of doing, better as a season. He got me numbers. I was like, man, I ain't no number 7 on the depth chart, dude. And my dad was like, work harder, do better, be better. And when you get a chance, you got to perform. And then, always the question, how am I going to do it? He's like, well, you're going to do more than what you're doing now. And he's like, what's holding you back? I was like, well, I'm playing linebacker. 190 pounds, maybe 96 pounds. He's like, well, then you need to lift more. And so it was kind of always, he'd always divert me back to myself. Right. But then, I did ask Coach Samuel, like, hey, what I need to do. And he told me. And then, then I was like, okay. And then the second week we had a scrimmage. And then, one thing led to another. So fast forward, I end up, exceeding expectations, I guess, and end up being the starter. Right. No mistakes. Worked over, I worked, early in the morning, before practice, during practice, after practice.
What time window? 7th string to what?
Number
for
one.
Starting. What was the time window for that?
During the spring.
that tells you a lot.
I was on it, though. I mean, Harrison, I was laying cats out, though, because I hated it. I mean, I love Coach Osborne, but I hated him at that time.
Yeah.
I hated everybody. Now, I liked my teammates, but I hated them because I just felt like, look, dude, everybody else, like, Mike Rucker and all those guys, they on second team and all that. I'm sitting back here with the white shirt. I'm just looking like a scrub. So Brother Pride was hurt, And so, I ended up earning the starting spot after spring. I had never played in a college game before. So I was the new guy. And, the story's been around for a while. They came out with the black shirt poster. Now, granted, I won the spot during training camp as well. Still, when they go out, I had a black shirt, right?
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, they had in that poster, they didn't have your boy in that poster. They had an extra DB in there who was actually good enough to be a starter. So I was like, oh, okay, I see how it is, right? So I'm, you don't know me that way, Harrison. Like once I get quiet, I'm thinking about killing you. Right?
Noted. I'll be sure to write that down.
So I'm walking around just, I was in my feelings, right? Because you want validation, but at the end of the day, I hadn't done anything. They didn't really know if I was going to be good or be able to be worthy of starting. I just had done it in a controlled environment in practice, right? So there's excuses there, but I didn't see anything past I wasn't on the poster. Now I could argue the amount of reps that some guys played prior in the year versus me redshirting is minimal, but ultimately they've been in the game. So we're about to play Oklahoma State, man, and we have a walkthrough. And Mike Menner, who was a starting safety, and so we used to wear these like little mesh jerseys or whatever. And at that point in time, I think I might have been like 205. And at that linebacker position, you didn't have to be very big. 205 was fine. I still was like a little bigger, but didn't look like much. I got big old feet, what I'm saying? Legs is getting a little bigger, but I wasn't like Troy Dumas. Troy Dumas is 6'4", 245.
Imposing just by looking at
it. Right? I'm only, 6'2.5", 205 probably, and I got to work at that. So we're about to go out to walkthrough, and I'm sitting there chilling, kind of, trying to get my mind right for the first, I hadn't played a game in over a year since high school. And he came up to me and he was like looking me up and down or whatever. And I thought he was joking. Then he was like poking me in my chest. He was just challenging me, man, right? He's like, I don't know if you're tough enough, this, and this. And really at that point, Harrison, I kind of snapped. I just threw my helmet down. I was like, let's go. I said, me and you right now. Let's go. And he's like, I was like, I'll show you. You know what I mean? But then he started laughing, right? And I said, I ain't playing. I said, I'm ready to. I'm just like, I said, we already here past, like, I said, I'm done hearing you talk. Because I'm a freshman. He's a senior. I'm here done listening to you talk to me like that. So let's go. Let's see. I'm going to show you here the day before the game. He started laughing. He's like, I just wanted to see if I could depend on you. He's like, I wanted to see what you made of. He's like, nah, I know. He's like, now I can trust you. And that's what happens in the spring. You got to see who you can trust. You got to see who you can still trust, because even though, say, like, Harrison, you played good in a spot duty last year. Okay, did you get to fully yourself? Did you continue to work? And can I still trust you? Because just because you're the assumptive starter or, play a role, you got 4 guys maybe coming for your position, or at least 2. Right? And then, so can I still trust you? Because if I can't trust you, then we can't play well. Because at this point in time, no matter if you're a starter at Nebraska or a assumptive starter, nobody's done anything because you guys haven't even made a bowl game. Now, that's not to hold the past against you. What a lot of people do, but it's just being honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that you can't turn around and win 8-9 games. But if we have guys that we're dependent on or assuming that they're dependent on or hoping that take a next step, that could stop your progress as well. Can you get out of your own way and not believe social media? Can you get out of your own way and stay focused? Can you get out of your own way and sacrifice to be what you always want to be? Because generally, you are a champion way before you become a champion. And always to give credit to the 93 team, 92 team, because they had to go through some hard losses before 94, 95, and then ultimately 97 was able to, get over the hump. So it all starts in winter conditioning. Coach Osborne used to always tell us, you win your first 4 games in winter conditioning and spring ball. And I never, whether that was true or not, whatever he told us, I believe, because that kept us working and competing. And I will tell you, boy, there was some knockdown dragouts. I never seen people literally be nose to nose based on whether they want a 10-yard sprint or not. But you didn't want to give an edge.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to give it, like Aaron Davis comes here. I didn't want to give nothing to AD. Because I'm telling you, when AD's happy, he scores on you. He's gonna let everybody in the Cook Pavilion. We'd practice in the Cook. Let him know.
Preaching's in his blood, man.
Yeah,
you can't expect AD not to go to it.
And then he would. And then the funny thing about AD, he'll give you a sermon afterwards. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But he's great with it. But the thing, that's how you build a team. Guys like that are always going to keep, not only play their role, but excel in their role. So that's what they're trying to do right now, and hopefully they're doing it. I think, I like the makeup of the team. I haven't, been around, but I like what they're made of.
I like that it just seems like there's going to be a lot of competition. I feel like that's just kind of the one thing that's been lacking here, and I think it happens when you are a blue blood, and I think it's just been the problem for Nebraska is you kind of said it before, but a lot of these guys are great before they even play. But just in terms of the fan base, the media, and then it's, when it gets tough,
then they don't know how to. Then they don't know how to battle.
Yeah, the fans magnify everything. When you're winning, it's awesome. When you're losing, the fans are still going to magnify it, and it's you got to pick yourself up from that. And if you already anointed yourself and things go bad, that's when it's tough to build yourself back up. And unfortunately, I think that's kind of been the problem for Nebraska over the years.
Yeah, I think the losing your identity a little bit doesn't just start in the locker room. Everybody always wants to blame the coaches. I think just. And this goes way back to after Frank left, I think, and maybe towards the end of Frank, I don't really know, but I just think, kind of after that, I think everybody lost their way. I think we just, look, you've been winning for so long, 25 some years. You had Coach Osborne, and then you had Frank. Heck, and then next thing you know, you're like, oh, well, that's just not good enough. Now you win 3 national championships. I don't know how. You can't get much better than that. It's one of the legendary run. But then you felt like you were entitled to it. And then once you do that, you start to kind of get away from your foundation. And so, I think if they do a good job of creating true, honest competition, even if you're not the guy that goes out there and start, you will play a role and you will continue to compete to, earn playing time. And that's how you are able to, I always say, you want to reload instead of rebuild. You'll know who's going to be the next player because they know every day it needs to be earned. I think Matt Rule and those guys have done a good job of preaching it to their players. And I think that's why, they didn't have a lot of turnover on their roster because these guys knows exactly where they're at. Mm-hmm. And if they go and have a question to a coach, I'm sure they're going to get as much as possible.
And he gives you a shot. Like, even if it's special teams, like Rule's shown, he's been creative. If you show that you belong in the field, he's pretty good at finding a spot for it. Might not be the position you thought you were going to get.
If you can play football, you're going to play.
Yeah, you'll find
the perfect example is, in my opinion, a guy that was probably left for dead by everybody is Mekhi Gobert. And, it's the Minnesota game. And first of all, he reshaped his body.
Yeah.
Right? And then so okay, he did that. And then you heard a little bit about him in spring, but not much. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because, spring's hard because I think the spring game is more of a celebration. Okay, we got through spring. We're showcasing who got, big arms and all that. So it's not really a game. But you start to hear a little bit about him in fall camp. And then he comes down there in Minnesota game, makes 2 or 3 special teams tackles and a couple plays on defense, right, that you never seen before at a position that he didn't come in originally at, which was outside linebacker. Or he came in originally as an inside linebacker. He's playing more like that jack linebacker. produces, then he leads the team in tackles against Colorado. Then the next thing you know, he's playing, starts, and then he's, continues to be, play a role and gets a lot of learning experience. So that's how you create a culture of winning. And the more people that you add to it, I think is going to be the better. So, onward and outward, this is a time where they need to push themselves because as they're looking to the first practice, you still have work to be done. Every day's a work day. There is no days off. Unfortunately, that's what you signed up for. But then when you sign up for those things, you do get a lot of fruit to your labor. So with that being said, that is the spring ball update. We're going to take a break, come back, and talk about men's and women's Husker basketball. Women's team had a pretty big victory, I think, for them in two fronts yesterday against the Gophers at 4 p.m. Men tip off at 5:30. Jay Foreman, Inside the Huddle, brought to you by Advanced Medical Imaging. We'll be right back.
Problem gambling affects millions of Americans daily, of all ages and walks of life. If your loved one is struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300.
Integrated Life Choices has been inspiring opportunities for individuals with disabilities for more than 15 years in Lincoln and across Nebraska by offering a number of services. From group homes to independent living resources and job training, you'll find the support that allows people to live fulfilling lives. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a rewarding career supporting people with developmental disabilities, you can check out open positions along with learning more about services at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices.
You're counting on your team to win, so why not prove it? At Warhorse Sportsbook, their win is your win. Put your money where your mouth is on nearly every sporting event. Use the Warhorse app to check odds and build your bets before placing your wagers in person at Warhorse Casino in Lincoln or Horseman's Park in Omaha, including live in-game betting. No bets, no glory. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay. Playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza. The big one. All the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
The Mill Coffee and Tea. Formerly with 4 Lincoln locations, but now 5 Lincoln locations. That's 25% more locations than there used to be. Can you even imagine a world where there's only 4 Lincoln Mill locations? Feels like ages ago. We were all so young then. The Mill on 11, located right alongside the 93.7 The Ticket Studios at 1040 O Street.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to O Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at O Street Carpet.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Tune in to the Malone Radio Show from 9 to 10 p.m. every Sunday night to learn more about the Malone Center's goal to eliminate multi-generational poverty in Lincoln. It's the Malone Radio Show every Sunday night from 9 to 10 p.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
A lot of people in the summertime think, gee, I want to build a new home. By the time they go through the process of sitting down, getting the permits, and getting the home started, the home isn't done until January or February.
Bob Benish is the founder and president of Aspen Builders, online at aspenbuildersinc.com.
I think the best time to start designing your new home is the month of February. Get an early start on it. Sit down. The snow's flying. Let's sit around the table. Let's drop some plans. When we're looking out for a homeowner, we're always keeping their budget in mind. Let's put numbers together and let's get that thing started so that the home's done in summer or fall before school starts. So now is really the time to be contacting us to get an appointment to get the job done.
Make your dream a reality and call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your dream home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
Looking for a job that feels like family? Join Lincoln Industries, where tradition meets innovation. They're a family-owned, privately held manufacturing company with a passion for excellence and a commitment to their community. They have openings on all shifts at both the main plant and air park facilities, offering flexibility to fit your schedule. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, there's a place for you there. At Lincoln Industries, they invest in their people's success, providing opportunities for growth and advancement. Apply now and become a part of something special at Lincoln Industries.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. The last few years have been wild, but we've been here for you through all the ups and downs, and we'll be here for you when you need us the most, for all your travels and for your day-to-day driving. With winter conditions causing problems all over town, the last thing anyone needs this year is constant car troubles. Let us help you drive in peace and make sure you drive to work and to winter destinations safe. A1 Automotive, 11th and L Street downtown, always honest answers.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Back to Inside the Huddle, sponsored by Advanced Medical Imaging. Here is your host, Jay Foreman.
What up? We're back. Jay Foreman, Inside the Huddle, brought to you by Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. Hit them up, man. They'll take good care of you. Dr. Finn and Dr. Razdan always do a good job with me and for me, in particular Dr. Razdan. That's my dude. So it's always, I guess, an enjoyable experience when you go in there and have to sit in that machine. You know what I mean, Harrison? I think I've been in it so much, I know exactly what to do.
I've never been in there yet, but if I do, I know where to go.
Yeah. I always tell, one time I was like, hey, look, that's not how it goes. Yeah. When they were training somebody else, let me show you how this goes. No, just playing. Anyways, we're on to men's and women's hoops. And before we jump into men's hoops, who's tipping off today at 5:30, women's hoops. They had were able to exact a little revenge, which is always good. Their last home game for their seniors, which is great. You know, you want them to go out the right way. But ultimately, I think on a big scale of things of their Husker program, where they were able to hold serve at home, but then also exact some revenge of maybe just, I wouldn't say they overlooked Minnesota when they went up there. It was just not a women's Husker basketball game up to their normal expectations, and they didn't play well.
It looked like the men's team when they went up to Minnesota.
It must be something up there.
Like I didn't see the guys weren't trying.
Right,
like something was just off.
I think that it looked like their energy was there, but I always say you can always tell when you watch. There's like a 5 to 10% where you're running, or in my case, football, you're playing, but you're running and thinking. And it's not exactly like that in basketball, but it looked like they were playing hard, but they weren't playing up to their capabilities. They weren't playing free. Mm-hmm. They were playing discombobulated. And it's weird because it was a very, very slow start when they went up there. And then they tried to recover, like, okay, we got a game. They brought it to us. They are more than over energized at the beginning because it never went away in that first quarter. Then they try to counterpunch and recover. And by that time, Minnesota had already gained that confidence that we could play.
And it took so much energy just to get back in striking distance.
Right. And that's what people don't understand. You see this a lot, like in club basketball or in high school basketball, where you don't show up ready to play, focused, or you're ready to play, but not ready to compete. And there is a difference, right? So you're ready to play. You go here, and here's the difference, right? Show up, you're ready to play, right? You got your uniform on, socks and all that. You go through you do your shooting routine and you go through warm-ups. Okay, you're ready to play. But it's a different mindset that you can't pinpoint. You only know internally and you only know it externally because I've done it before. So I always try to not be on the microphone, act like I was the God's gift player, the greatest linebacker ever, or I never had a bad game, or I ever didn't show up and not compete. I've done all the things that I'm talking about right now. That's why I feel like, okay, I can say it and it's not personal. right? And it's a team thing. And so being ready to compete is more of a mental, and I always say spiritual thing, right? And you talk about that mindset, right? So when you show up to a game, you got to take everybody serious. And sometimes when you're playing against a team that you are better than, you actually got to take them more serious, and you got to be like more focused, more detailed, right? Because you maybe have to game plan for that 5 or 10% that you might naturally not have, right? And it's human nature. Say, and you see it all the time in football or basketball. Say you beat a team in the beginning of the year by 30 points or 20 points, right? Okay, it's just human nature. Okay, we beat them by 20 last time. We're going to beat them by 20 this time. Well, they've made some adjustments. Maybe you've shown some weaknesses that you maybe have been able to slide by with, and then boom, now you in a dogfight.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those, it's the cheesiest quote ever, but it makes total sense. Sylvester Stallone, if you ever want to watch Rocky, you got nothing to lose, you're dangerous.
Right.
And that's why you got to show up, because you put a little bit of belief in those teams.
Right.
They're in it. If they lose it, it still doesn't really look bad on them. But if they can pull it off somehow, and it's in their head that they can actually pull this off, yeah, they're playing super confident when things do get tight and they have the lead. They're not going to tighten up because they're just happy to even be there.
Right.
Purdue, if it gets tight and they're playing Ohio State, which they were, it gets tight. You see them start to get a little worried. They start short arming their shots, not boxing out. And that's when things go off the rail.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened with Nebraska and Minnesota the first game. But ultimately, it's a tale of two games, right? We just talked about Nebraska not starting fast up in Minneapolis in the barn. Well, guess who started fast yesterday at PBA? Nebraska, 20-8. Then you go, okay, Minnesota adjusted, even Steven, 13-14. 1 point advantage for Nebraska. But now you go into halftime, you're up by 13 points. Okay, let's see if we shown some maturity, right? You were Nebraska up in Minneapolis, didn't really start the second half like you needed to start if you're really trying to punch a hole in that lead and then possibly take the lead. Well, what does Nebraska do? Outscore them 16-11. Okay, so you increase the lead. So that's 18 points, game, set, match. And then you said, you know what? I'm going to put the cherry on top. We're going to outscore you in every single quarter, no matter what you do. You end up with a 19-point victory, 70-51. The biggest thing that I think they did from the first game to the second game is they made Battle become a volume scorer, right? So she had to shoot 18 shots and only made 6 and to have 12 points. That's what you want.
Their defense, this is one thing the girls team deserves credit on. Their defense, they figured out some things.
Right.
When they took down Caitlin Clark, they shut out, you talked about the Battle. Like they're doing some things where 10 steals last night.
Yeah, I was just about to get it. So,
some mean, gritty defense.
And not a lot of foul trouble. Yep. So that means it's legit defense, right? So you make her in a volume scorer. And then the other two, players that got into double digits, they had to shoot 12 shots, right? And then one of them, Grachowski, she shot 8 threes, 25%, 2 for 8. So that's a good day at the office. Then bigger thing is, Harrison, you had your two main ball handlers for Minnesota turn the ball over 10 times, 6 and 4. So not only are you getting you're getting the steals, but you're making your players that are your table setters turn the ball over. So Minnesota had 15 turnovers total. 10 of them came from 2 players. Your offense is null and void there. So everything that Nebraska didn't do well the first game, they did, right? Shot a higher percentage from the field, shot really well for 3, 90% from free throws. I don't know what it is about the barn in Minnesota and Nebraska basketball team, both men and women. They shoot horrible from the free throw line up there.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
I've played in there one time. Now, I will tell you, I used to like it because there was like it was supposedly unknown fact that it gave you more bounce. I don't know about that. I used to think the first time I got Nikes, I could jump higher. If you want to market to a kid, tell them that you could jump higher, or in this, but you're playing the barn, you'll be able to jump. You get a little bit more.
I bought those stupid Nike Elite socks forever that were just like crazy thick that made your feet sweat like crazy.
Gave you a whole bunch of athlete foot and thought you were going to do something, didn't do anything.
Yeah, I could barely get a piece of paper under me still on my vertical.
So I don't know what it is, but again, they did everything that they needed to do. It was a dominating game. They did a really good job on the offensive boards, right? That's that's where you can really tell where Nebraska is going to play well, because I think I tie offensive rebounding for Nebraska to the 3-point shooting, because what most coaches like, you get an offensive rebound, either the kick out pass or the second pass, it's a wide open 3. These girls can shoot good enough from 3. You get a wide open 3, you can almost cash it in. That's where you see 41% pretty much for 3. You see it's Jazz Shelley 4-9. That's what you really like to see from her, because she can get open. and shoot threes. And then also what I really like is Markowski dominating on the boards along with Potts. But then also, not only did Jazz Shelley score 16 points, right, and knock it down for three, she had 7 assists. So that's really good. I'm sure Amy Williams is really, really excited about that and happy. But then you had 4 players coming off the bench that had 6 points each. 24 bench points. You're going to beat a lot of teams, not only in the Big Ten, but then also in the NCAA tournament by doing that. So this was a really good victory for them because I felt like, they needed to, I don't know, exercise some demons. It's Sunday.
They needed to show 4 quarters.
Yeah, show 4 quarters.
That's exactly what they
show
did.
Maturity. They've done it though, right? Now, it's we talked about during the week on Old School was okay. You had the big victory, kind of like a hallmark victory, beating Iowa. Never beat Caitlin Clark before. Held her under the 39 points she needed, and then you went on the road against Ohio State and played not only your worst game, you weren't ready to compete. You got obliterated. So sometimes that could give you a little bit of doubt. But what is Amy Williams going to do? Go back to work, a little bit of time off, beat the brakes off of Northwestern, and here comes a team in Minnesota that had your kryptonite early in the season. I felt like this team needed a little bit of time to gel, and then you had a couple of injuries, so you had to kind of reset. And they've always done a good job of that. And then, obviously with the outside noise going on, it tells you what they really have internally as far as from a leadership standpoint, both at the player level, but the coaching level as well. And then obviously cohesiveness as a team is in a good place. And that's where you're able to do some of these things coming down the stretch. Because very easily, whether it's playing a team that their style always is giving you a problem, or you have some outside noise going on, this very, very easily, if you don't have a tight-knit team and a good coach, you can go over there and lay an egg, and then now we're having a different conversation. So, but then it catapults to the men. But right there, it's right there in the picking, right for the picking, is they play Minnesota at 5:30 here in a few hours. And we'll talk about it a little bit right now before we go to break, and then obviously the last few minutes. But this game right here, I think is great for Nebraska because as the season went, when they lost to Minnesota, it was a bad loss. Actually, that Minnesota loss doesn't look so bad right now because Minnesota is playing some hellified basketball.
Yeah.
So now this Minnesota victory, which we'll hopefully get today, will be actually a bigger victory because they're going to look at you how you're playing late versus what you did early. So I think when you think about Nebraska not having ranked teams coming down the pipe, you got 2 road games. Obviously, you got this one. It actually sets up really, really well for them as they move towards that Big Ten tournament. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to go quick into the men's game, then send you guys off to the rest of your Sunday. Jay Foreman at Inside the Huddle, brought to you by Advanced Medical Imaging.
The Omaha Supernovas are back in action this Sunday, February 25th versus the Orlando Valkyries at Addition Financial Arena in Orlando. The Mullen Motors pregame show with Derek Pearson and Renee Saunders starts at 1 p.m. with first serve at 2. Make sure to tune in to the next Ag Appraisal and Realty postgame show right after the match ends. Catch all the action on your flagship station, 93.7 The Ticket, and statewide on the Supernovas Radio Network.
Unearth the secret to long-lasting tires at Tread's Central Tire Pros, a league apart in commitment, service, and expertise. This isn't just about rubber meeting the road, but trust, safety, and surety converging in perfect harmony. This is where expectations are exceeded every time. Make your appointment today at Tread's Central Tire Pros, just south of Cortland on Highway 77, or visit our website to explore our services. Remember, when it comes to tires, choose Tread's Central Tire Pros because we tread differently.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. The last few years have been wild, but we've been here for you through all the ups and downs, and we'll be here for you when you need us the most, for all your travels and for your day-to-day driving. With winter conditions causing problems all over town, the last thing anyone needs this year is constant car troubles. Let us help you drive in peace and make sure you drive to work and to winter destinations safe. A1 Automotive, 11th and L Street downtown, always honest answers.
Not many businesses can say they've made it 60 years, but Madsen's Bowling and Billiards can. With 12 bowling lanes and the biggest pool room in Nebraska, where else would you go to enjoy an afternoon or evening? There's a great daily specials like $2 Tuesdays, games of bowling, shoe rentals, draft beers, and tacos, all just $2 each. Have a delicious burger at EJ's Lounge before or after your bowling or pool session, and you'll leave satisfied. Madsen's Bowling and Billiards at 47th and Dudley.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
Liberty Law Group is committed to the defense of your liberty and pursuit of your justice for those that have been injured. My name is Seth Morris, attorney with Liberty Law Group. If you've been injured in an accident that wasn't your fault, call 877-42-LIBERTY. Our relentless trial attorneys are committed to the highest quality legal representation. At Liberty Law Group, we will fight for you. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Again, that's 877-42-LIBERTY.
At Allo, we believe in the exceptional. From extraordinary whole home coverage to super fast speeds, our local teams are always on hand to make sure your service is running at top performance. Let go of lag, banish buffering, and enjoy outstanding service throughout your entire home. We believe in delivering nothing less than exceptional service, so that's exactly what we do. Visit us at allofiber.com to experience the exceptional.
This is Brad with Midwest Bank, proudly serving our Nebraska communities for over 70 years. We're a community bank, making local decisions, supporting local organizations, and helping local businesses and farms succeed. We are dedicated to serving our clients and helping them meet their financial needs with sound, innovative banking solutions. From an array of checking and deposit accounts, cash management services, to small business, real estate, and ag lending. We're here for you. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Find out more at midwestbank.com. Member FDIC.
Be a memory for your grandchildren. Among Nebraska adults age 65 or older, 47% report current alcohol use. Drinking too much can cause harm to children, family members, and loved ones. By drinking less, you will still be around for your grandchildren. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
You're listening to Inside the Huddle with Jay Foreman, sponsored by Advanced Medical Imaging.
What up? We're back. Jay Foreman, Inside the Huddle, Advanced Medical Imaging, 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. Hit them up. Ask for Dr. Finn or Dr. Razdan. They'll hook you up for all your needs. But on to the Gophers, the Golden Gophers coming in here, playing some pretty dang good basketball. And I think when Nebraska played up there, much like the women's, they got caught by surprise. I think they were a little surprised at the beginning that because their best player was out for that game or only played 7 minutes, and that's Dawson Garcia. He has more than made up for it and made his presence known afterwards. And that is the guy that you have to worry about. He's their leading scorer. He's their leading rebounder. He's also assists the ball, 2 assists a game. But what he does really well, being a 6'11", 230, 40 pounds, he destroys you on the offensive rebound. So defensive rebounds is going to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that, you take away the Gophers. I guess I call it the advantage, right? There's some big kids. That's how they beat you, score points. They get more chances. They're not an overly skilled team. You know what I mean? They're not like a Purdue or Illinois or something like that where you're like, man, we got to worry about 4 or 5 guys, busting threes from Hawkins on down. They will destroy you by getting second chance points and opportunities, but then also getting to the free throw line.
Yeah, I mean it's why they dominated so much in the first game. I think It's like you want to play small ball against this team, you better grab a damn jersey.
Yeah.
when that ball goes up, you better find someone and grab a jersey. And there just wasn't enough of that. Like it's one of those things where I'm not expecting Nebraska to come in here and win the rebounding battle, but you got to keep it close.
Yeah.
Because if on paper you are the better skill team, you probably shoot the ball better. You're at home. Most of these margins are going to go in your favor. The toughest one are going to be turnovers, which you can take care of, but you've shown parts in the past where you've had 12, 13, 14 plus turnovers.
Right.
You're not going to win if you do that. And you're not going to, those two stats right there, if you're getting out rebounded and you're sloppy with turnovers, it's going to look just like it did earlier in the year when we played at Minnesota.
Yeah. I mean, turnovers are, and they're not a high pressure team, right? And so what they do, they try to beat you up, and they're kind of a little bit, I call it slick with it, where, they'll shoot some passing lanes, and a lot of their turnovers come from Dawson Garcia and Payne being so active. Those guys are active, and so they can kind of like get in your way a little. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like they're
well, it's like long wingspans. You're
Right.
trying to cut around them. It's not going to be a foul, but they'll grab you a little bit.
Right.
And if that pass
is a little, if you look
a little late, a little behind,
I'll tell you,
turnover.
if the pass is not on time and on target, you will turn the ball over at a rate from anywhere from 13 to 18, and then get on the bus and go home. It's like, there's no way we should turn the ball over, because if you see a team like an Iowa and Purdue, that a lot of their passes, especially into the post at Edey, where he's 8 feet tall, are on time and on target, the turnovers are low. They generally lose, and so that's where it's. And then offensive rebounds or rebounding in general, it's going to take everybody. That's Jamarcus Lawrence. It's going to take Casey. It's going to take Williams, Mass. I look for Josiah Alec to play really, really well this game, because
this is his game for me.
Right, is junkyard dog game.
Yep,
he should be salivating to play against these guys. Number one, I felt like the maturation of him over the last quarter of the season is he's a totally different player. He got used to playing in the Big Ten, getting used to his role and playing in Fred Hoiberg's offense and defensive system. But then also the team was getting used to him as well. He's a lot better right now. So I look for them to, for him to play well. Minnesota's active, on the offense and defensive rebound. So the biggest thing for them is not get destroyed on the boards. You know what I'm saying? Even, we're leaving them. We win the rebound margin, we'll probably beat them by 10 plus points. But at the end of the day, we're a better team. We just got to perform like it. The funny thing about, not the funny thing, interesting thing about the Gophers, they're only a half a game behind us in the standings.
Hey, you mentioned it. This early in the year, you would have thought it was a really bad loss. But
right. This is a huge game.
Well.
This is a huge game. And the biggest thing that we got to do is we got to, if we, when we do foul guys, we got to know who we're going to foul. You got to know who the 3-point shooters are. So the best three, look, it's Garcia, Christie, and Mitchell. That's it. That's how their offense goes. And, I know Payne, if Payne hits you for 30, you just tip your hat and say, you know what, have a good flight back to Minneapolis. Do not let Garcia or Christie come in here and put in work.
Yeah, I do. That's my biggest thing is the defense. I'm going to be curious because you've seen it all year. They're going to double the center. They've gotten really good on their rotations out of it, which has helped a lot in terms of their defense ability down the stretch. I think just getting more comfortable with those rotations off the double. But again, it allows for more perimeter shots. Now, Minnesota isn't a great perimeter team. So I think that kind of recipe on defense, it should work. But again, it's just going to be, are you going to rebound? Because I'm okay with them taking the outside of a few. Right. You much rather them shoot from the perimeter. We'll take care of the paint first, perimeter second.
Right.
But the rotations are getting so much better. Should be okay there
and
too.
See that was what they were trying to do the first time. The problem is they let Josiah Ola Joseph play the game of his life. Now remember, he got thrust into a bigger role because Garcia was coming off a little knick-knack injury and he didn't play. And he destroyed us on the offensive rebound. It was like, but you know what? They were forcing him into long shots, and we weren't doing a good job of checking him out and chasing. And he was shooting it, knowing he missing it, or they were missing it, and getting it. And then and those things are like, I always say, offensive rebounds, getting destroyed on the offensive rebound edge is like giving up a whole bunch of 3rd and 9s.
It really is, because it's on
football.
It's like exactly what you just said. Like, you nailed it. It's like you grind so much. You have great defense on the interior. You get the shot that you want. You want them to take that 3-point shot. They take it. It's a long rebound.
And
it feels like a 3rd and 9.
Yeah. So I mean that's what it's going to come down to. But I think Nebraska's learned from it. I think they'll be highly motivated and ready to go. Minnesota's going to bring their best stuff. I'm looking forward to it at 5:30, but I know these guys will pull through. So we appreciate you guys listening again on this beautiful Sunday. Get outside and enjoy it. Enjoy the people too, man. Always keep positive people around you, people that won't bring you down, and because we like to try to bring you up here on the Inside the Huddle, brought to you by Advanced Medical Imaging, 7601 Pioneers Boulevard. Jay Foreman signing off. Talk to you next week.